Welcome to the AVNI Interviews. We're your hosts, Eric Bork and Mikey Taylor.
What up?
We're the co-founders of AVNI, a brand for entrepreneurs and influencers. Here on the AVNI Interviews, we interview people doing the work they want and the lifestyle they love. Today's guest is Omar Elattar. Did I say it right?
Omar Elattar.
I knew that. Why did I say it wrong?
Wow.
Damn, my first L in the first 30 seconds.
Close,
That's not your
cigar.
first L, Blair.
That's because he's known as Omar the Rock Star.
That's
okay?
true.
Check him out on Instagram if you're not already following him. And I'm gonna do a little different bit of an intro today, and this is gonna be my intro. Do you ever meet people and you're just like, how do they do that? What possesses this person to how did they pull that off? That is Omar. He is a networker, and we're going to get into what he does. Let's just put this. This is how I wanted to cue it up. A few days ago, he just did a cigar night with Grant Cardone and Ed Mylett. He just said, hey guys, let's hang out and do a cigar night, and interviewed both of them. I saw the pictures. Interview's not out yet. Maybe it will be by the time this comes out. Watch for that on the Passionate Few on YouTube. But we have Omar here today to talk about networking and what he does. Let's start with the end in this one. Let's begin with the end in mind. One of the habits of highly effective people here. So how did you set this thing up with Grant Cardone and Ed Mylett? And hey, I got to cue this up because not everybody, you feel like everybody knows who Grant Cardone and Ed Mylett are, but a lot of our audience come from skateboarding and maybe they've never heard of them. So Grant Cardone is basically a multi-family real estate mogul, right? Is that a fair way to describe him, Mikey?
Yeah, and I would say I would say before that sales. Like he's sales mogul before that.
And then Ed Mylett is one of the leading influential entrepreneurs. What's Ed's background in? I want to say, but I'm not.
It was a
World
Financial Group,
Yeah,
right?
WFG. So he's the agency chairman. So
he's the chairman. Okay,
right. So all the agents and overrides, he's the boss of the bosses.
Got you. I knew that. I just didn't want to say it, and you said it much better than I would have. So,
yes.
Okay. So how did you? Let's start with that, and then we'll go back into how you got into what you're doing. So,
cool.
How did you cue that up?
So basically,
and then we're gonna go and do everything you say. Because it's amazing. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So basically with Ed and Grant, I had already had a little bit of rapport with them. But one thing I've realized is that it's not so much about talking to them. It's about getting in good with the gatekeepers. Okay. Because the gatekeepers are feeding them, what's going on social media. So if you can influence them effectively, it's a lot easier to get in the door. And most times that person, although the influencer might have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, their assistant might have 200 followers or 300 followers. There's a low barrier to entry. So that's how I first got them on the show. Grant's actually an interesting story. But anyway, so because I had already had both of them on the show, I had their number, so I just texted them and they were both down. Okay,
so let's talk about Grant. And it's funny you say that because
that's a funny one.
I actually am the low barrier of entry between this duo right here, and I get hit up a lot. And so take notes, kids. When you hit people up, I get people hitting me up in the first sentence, blah, 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 Mikey, blah. I'm like, eat shit, come on, man, have some class here. Hit me up and you can still be friends with me and I'll still tell what you want me to tell Mikey, but have some class about it. So Omar's pretty good at that. So tell us about Grant.
Yeah, so how I got in touch with Grant first.
You said it's an interesting story at first. And
oh, yeah.
The interview was psycho. You're at some beach house, Grant's beach house.
Right, Malibu.
You probably rented it.
Yeah, you paid $125,000 a week or something like that to rent it. And don't quote me on the price, but I know it was in that ballpark. And it was the owner of 7 Jeans on the water in Malibu.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your f-stop was looking, your camera just was so epic looking, man.
Yeah.
That was a great interview. And it was you did a good interview. So
thank you very much.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so basically how I got Grant was it's actually a funny story, man. So he lives in Florida. And I knew he was going to be in California. And we'll get into how I started the podcast, but I started the podcast after a breakup. So I had a chip on my shoulder. So we can cuss on the podcast?
You can say only 4-letter words.
Okay.
That was stupid, sorry.
I had
That was another L.
I'm taking L's. Damn, man. See, that's one of those times when you're like trying to be clever and then you just look stupid. Don't ever do that, kids. It just didn't come out right.
Yeah, so I had a fucking chip on my shoulder because I got broken up with for the first time in my life like 2 years ago. And so that dug this huge pain in me, like what? Like I didn't know what to do, man. I was like I thought I was gonna marry this girl. Like I was so all in. So when that happened, I didn't know what to do. I was like depressed. I like wanted to have purpose. And Mikey kind of talked about this too, is like things could be going well for you, but if you don't have a sense of like direction or fulfillment, like you just get lost, even if you have stuff going for you. So at the time I was working at Tesla, but I was at rock bottom after she broke up with me. So I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna do something fucking epic. Like I'm gonna like show her. I'm gonna prove a point. And she worked in sales, and she always had all these Grant Cardone books and all these Grant Cardone DVDs.
Oh, your ex-girl?
My ex, yeah. And
my gosh,
and so,
so good.
Oh yeah, there's layers, bro. And so she was like all into Grant Cardone, and that's how I heard about him. So when we broke up, I was like, all right, you don't want my time? Like, let's see if the dude you like study day in and day out wants my time. So keep in mind that the motivation was hot. It wasn't like it would be cool to get Grant. It was like, I have to get Grant. Like,
okay.
I have to get him on the show. So like that
Most
was kind of
people don't think that, just so you know. That's pretty rad. Okay,
yeah,
keep going.
Yeah. I realize I'm a weirdo in retrospect, but it it's paid off. Passion pays.
Okay.
And so keep in mind that was running through my mind. But he lives in Florida. I live in California.
Yeah.
So like 6 months go by, start the podcast, things are moving, but I need a big guest, to get on the map. And I saw that he flew into California. So I'm watching his Instagram stories, and I had this genius plan of like, you know what, I'm just going to like show up to wherever he's at and just pitch him cold. It was like the best thing I could think of.
Okay.
So I'm watching
So you stalked him on his stories.
Pretty much.
And showed up where he was. And where was he that you found him?
He was at Equinox, which is a gym. And I had a membership at the time, and it was like, I think he was in Beverly Hills or something like that. And I saw like a Beverly Hills sign. So I'm like, oh, he's probably at the Beverly Hills Equinox. So I drove 2 hours in traffic to the Beverly Hills Equinox, feeling like a retard, like, oh my God, it's probably not going to work. What are the odds? What am I going to go and pretend to work out next to him? I don't know what the hell I was going to do.
They literally do this scene in movies.
Yeah. So
okay,
I literally drive up, I go, and then I check the story, right? I'm about to walk in, right? I'm like, all right, I'm going to pitch him inside. Like I'm going through the script in my head, go inside, and I start looking on all the floors. I check his Instagram story, and he's having lunch somewhere else. So I'm like, damn it, he's not even here. So I get in my car, I drive 2 hours back home, feeling like, oh man, I just wasted 4 hours on this stupid idea. It's not going to work. Pull up back to the house, check his Instagram story again, and he's like, me and Elena are going to go eat at this restaurant tonight. What do you guys think? Should we go to Beverly Hills or Hollywood? And he said the name of the restaurant in Beverly Hills, and I know where that restaurant is. And then I hear in the background, like, yeah, let's go at 6. And he's like, all right, 6 sounds good. So I'm just picking up context clues from the story. But keep in mind, I just drove 4 hours and to epic failure, right? But I'm like, all right, screw it, whatever. I already went this far. So I drive back to Beverly Hills again. I go outside. I get there at the time. I wait an hour and a half till 6. I see that like there's nothing posted on his Insta story. So I'm like, oh, maybe they changed the dinner place. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just winging this whole thing. And so it's funny. I remember I went inside. And like I'm like looking around, but like it's like a ridiculous like fancy like steakhouse, and I'm dressed in like a t-shirt and like short in my gym attire, because I was planning to go to the gym. I didn't think that far through, and so I'm like, do you guys have a restroom? And she's like, yeah, it's all the way in the back. So I go to the back, scout the place, and I don't see him. So I'm like, crap. Right when I'm walking back from the bathroom in the corner, I see him and his wife. I'm like, perfect, they're here. So then I'm like, well, shit, what am I going to do? Just pitch him at the dinner table? Like, it's weird. So I go scout the exits. I go wait outside. I'm outside for 2 hours. Every time the door opens, my heart's racing. Like, to pitch him, it's not him. His heart's racing, not him. Finally, he comes outside. I just go up to him and I pitch him on the spot. I'm like, hey, Grant, so nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of what you do. I drove 2 hours to be here. Is it cool if I take a photo with you? And he was like, yeah, sure. He's like, you drove 2 hours just to meet me? And I was like, yeah. He's like, man, that's cool. And I was like, yeah. And then so we took a photo, and then I was like, by the way, I have a podcast, and I brought up the objections in advance. I'm like, I have a podcast, and I know you would never do an interview with me. I'm like a small dude, and you would probably say no. But is there any way, by the grace of God, that you would let me just come to your guys' house, film an interview with you, 1 hour, super easy, we'll be in and out. I promise you it'll be an amazing interview. And he's like, you got a card? And I was like, yeah. I don't know how the hell I had a card, but pull out my card, give it to him, and he's like, I like you, dude. He's like, yeah, I'll give you an interview. And fast forward, 2 weeks later, we filmed the interview, and today it was the most watched Grant Cardone interview ever.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an epic looking, and it's a great interview, and he goes in on it, on his on a lot of stuff. So I was introduced. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a gnarly story, dude. And I was by myself the whole time in my head, like, oh, this is stupid. It's not gonna work, but it worked.
But I mean, that chip on your shoulder, you're like,
fueled.
Hey, X, look at me.
Right.
And then now I'm hanging out at his beach house. So I was
it's funny what you'll do though. Like when you want something to happen,
prove a point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's like one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard.
Yeah. It was pretty spiteful motivation, but inspired a lot of people. So it's I'm all about turning pain into power. So worked.
So is there did you go is there any like other things that she's into that you like?
Absolutely. She loves hot Cheetos, interviewed the creator of hot Cheetos. She loved Quest bars, interviewed the $1 billion founder of Quest bars.
Are you still on this path to get her back? Okay.
No, that ended probably about like a year.
You just went through her whole list of people she liked. You're like, okay, I guess I did it to her.
Yeah, no, that was the first like 6 months. And then after that I was like over it.
That's incredible.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, many times over. So
anybody who hasn't seen Omar's show, The Passionate Few, I was first introduced to it. I saw P-Rod on there, and I'm going to tell you my impression. So I saw, P-Rod's doing a podcast? That's funny. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, this is like a crazy, like big show because it was produced really well. So that was my first impression of it.
Thank you.
For anybody that wants to check it out, it's called The Passionate Few. You podcast too, right? Audio on iTunes? Or just YouTube?
It's on all audio platforms.
Okay.
Yeah, so Spotify, iTunes, everything. Stitcher.
Okay. And I mean, to be honest, man, I really like the YouTube ones because they always look so cool.
Thank you.
Mikey's actually been a guest on there also.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's get into how you got started, and then I want to talk about some of your techniques in networking.
Cool.
Because you haven't. I mean, you're also
you have a
dealing
gift,
with like,
man.
Yeah,
you have a gift.
Everything.
Every time I see you post something, I'm like, how the hell did he
How
do
did
this?
he pull that? That's what the intro was.
Yeah.
How did he pull
I hit him
that?
up the other day. I hit him up a couple weeks ago. Do you know who this guy Dan Locke is? Is that his name? Dan Locke?
Yeah, Dan
Do you know who
Locke.
this guy Dan Locke is? He texted me back 3 videos of him in his plane. Come on, man. I know everybody. I'm like, gosh.
Yeah. I was in his like private jet. We have the #1 interview in the world of Dan Locke, and I was told last week that I'm the #1 affiliate for his course sales. So
nice.
It's like a rev share, so I'm the #1 affiliate for him too.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
So how did you get started with a podcast?
Yeah. So
How long ago was that?
2 years ago, like a little over 2 years ago.
So this was like before, like podcasts were happening, but it was before like the mass took over.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It started out wanting to do day in the lives because I used to watch 411 video magazine, right? And
An
like
old
the day in the
skateboarding
lives.
video that, yeah.
Right. Good. You give the audience context. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my original idea was I want to do day in the life with all these different people from all walks of life. So I want to do a day in the life with a surgeon, with a pro skater, with a lawyer, with an attorney, with an entrepreneur. Like I want to do day in the life from morning till night. And the goal was like to show people what a day is like, right? Because a lot of times people are like, yeah, I want to be a lawyer because they see people in a courtroom, but they don't see the like AM to PM.
Yeah.
So that was the initial premise of the show and the passionate few.
Okay.
The challenge was editing those suckers took so long, and to find good editors. And at the time I was like really tight on money, and it was like, it was just tricky to like make that move fast. So then I like when we would talk in between filming, I would realize that the dialogue was better than the day in the life. So then I just said, okay, let's just do podcast. And so started doing it that way.
Okay.
But
did you actually put out some of the day in the lives?
We put out like 1 or 2 or 3 or something like that. Yeah. And then after that, it was just too much. But yeah, we did. I think on the channel, we have like 1 or 2 still there.
Nice. Yeah. Podcast is just such a good format. It's funny because I can't remember who it was, but they broke down doing interviews. Like I can't remember doing like a book release or something. It's like, you go out there and you have like 30 seconds to make one point, and then 30, and you get that 6 times and you're done. And that's all you get. Like, so I think that's why, Jordan Peterson, actually, I went and saw him. Don't know too much about Jordan Peterson, but he was in Thousand Oaks, so I saw him, and he made a really interesting point about as humans, we're conditioned to listening, but we're not conditioned to like everything that's going on our phone. And so he's like, all these people are tripping out because everybody's doing these long format. Like they can't pay attention for 15 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But then they'll listen to an interview for 2 hours. That's because that's what we're used to. We're used to listening. So the long format is actually very effective. Obviously it's taken off recently, but okay, let's get into, so was the breakup, the start?
Catalyst for sure.
That was the catalyst.
For sure. At that time I was working at Tesla. So I was a sales rep at Tesla. I was doing well, but I was like bored. Like I love Tesla. It was cool, but like the coolest achievement could be getting promoted. So I was doing well in Orange County as a sales rep for them, but it was just same shit over and over and over. You know, it just got boring. And I wanted to do something. And so after she broke up with me, I like quit at Tesla. I hired a life coach at the time, and like he helped me.
Who was that?
Dave Thorpe.
Dave
Thorpe.
Okay.
Yeah. Dave Thorpe. Shout out Dave Thorpe, man. Dave was like instrumental because I was telling him about the passionate few, and he told me to write down my prophecy, which I do for networking now. So I'll write down like, I see myself interviewing Grant Cardone and Ed Mylett in the Hollywood Hills smoking cigars. I see myself getting over 500,000 views in that video. I see people inspired. I see comments going crazy. I see myself selling courses. Like I just write it out, and it sounds crazy, and I know people say write down your goals, but when you write it, it just, something about it is real now. It's like prophecy, you know, not to get religious, but there's a reason that, you know, religious stuff isn't just spoken, it's written. You know, when you build a building, you're in real estate, you know, you got to see it on paper before it manifests. So I believe the same is true of goals. So that's kind of how it started, man. I had a chip on my shoulder, told my coach I want to start this thing. He told me if you don't write it down, it's not real. Wrote it down and started to become real.
So this is very interesting to me. You hired a life coach.
Right.
And your life coach transitioned you into doing what you're doing now.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know much about life coaching, but I haven't heard that story before, and that's really cool.
Yeah. Dude,
would you recommend people getting life coaches?
Absolutely, man. And
really?
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody who criticizes it, I get it. I totally get it. I used to be one of those like, okay,
no,
really?
I'm fascinated by this. This is very interesting.
Well, because, keep in mind, this guy is like, he's had 3 multi-million-dollar companies, so he's a credible coach. It's somebody who's done something with his life. And he lives in Laguna. I love Laguna Beach. That's, you know, it's where I'm aiming to live. So there's just a lot of good rapport with him. And it's really just somebody to shoot the shit with, to explain your goals, who can help you see outside the frame, you know, who you can play pitch and catch with, who cares. Yeah. A lot of times friends care, but they don't care. You know what I mean?
Does a life coach hold you accountable at all? Or
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And when you pay a premium for it, you know, it's like getting a personal trainer. Yeah. You know, it's like your back's against the wall. You have to do it now because you're going to hop on the phone with them or meet up with them next week on Tuesday. And if you didn't do X, Y, Z, then like you're just going to feel like you're wasting your time, your money, his time. Like you're going to follow through.
That's an interesting point. I never thought of it that way.
I mean, dude, like paying for courses, paying for coaching, it's had like a little bit of a bad rap. I've done it multiple times. It's always delivered for me.
Same.
And I am, what's up, Mikey?
Why does it have a bad rap?
Dude,
I know it does. It has a bad rap for me.
I think it's like because of the same thing like salespeople.
That's what it is.
Right? Like just a few people who did it really shittily. If that's a word, just ruined it for everybody. So now sales has a bad rap, realtors have a bad rap, door knockers have a bad rap, like skaters, right? Like skaters are some of the coolest people ever, but people on the street see them as like pot smoking, graffiti doing, troublemakers who are just up to no good and bashing cars, you know? So it's just a few bad eggs and they just throw an easy label on it. But I think nowadays more and more people are getting open to it and seeing the results it's producing. So I think it's changing now.
Yep. I think it definitely had a stigma, and I, in my opinion, it's a lot because of sales. It's because people use these sales strategies and they say things that aren't true and they hype you up. And I think that people that do that are doing a disservice to the people that are actually like down to help. Like my favorite, I always call out Andrew Warner at Mixergy. I kind of did the same thing. I was like, I want to do this, and I drove to San Francisco, and I basically was like, I'm going to a seminar, and I thought it was going to be like 2,000 people, and it was like a small one, and Tim Ferriss was there, and it was 100 people, and I was like, dude, I wonder if I could talk to him. And then it ended, and he stood there, and he's like looking around, like wanting to talk to someone. I'm like, no one's talking to him. Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to him. I think he'll. And I walked up. He's like, hey, and like starts talking to me, and like got his phone number, and like I mean, I'm not best friends or like close with him, but I text him on occasion when like he puts stuff out. I'll be like, hey, that looks cool. Can I buy it? Yeah. He'll text me back. Like, it's very, people are a lot more accessible than you think.
Oh, dude, so true.
I think a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm excited about this
Tell
one.
us.
So I want to tell people this. So pay attention if you guys are listening or watching. The biggest people are the easiest to get in touch with.
Interesting.
Because most people are scared. Like when I used to intern for Rob at Street League at the Fantasy Factory.
And I didn't know that.
Did you really?
Yeah. I used to intern for Rob and Brian Atlas and all them. And it's funny, they used to tell me that more people apply to McDonald's than the Fantasy Factory. Just because they have their own limited beliefs. Oh, I couldn't do that. Like, there's no way I could do that. Who am I to ask? And because everybody does that, nobody asks them.
Yeah.
So when you just kind of like, hey, Grant Cardone, my name's Omar. I'd love to interview. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's the barrier. I'm sure Elon's the same way. Like, it sounds I know it's counterintuitive, but it's true. Most people are so afraid that nobody even tries.
And you know what else too? That's so true. You know what else I've noticed too? And I actually learned this at that Andrew Warner Mixergy, whatever it was, conference. But he made the point that there's cycles that people go through. Like when someone's trending and they're getting hit up by like 1 million people,
right,
that might not be the best time to approach them. But like approach someone that won the Super Bowl when nothing's going on, and they will probably talk to you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's
so
true.
that was a great point he made. Okay, so let's talk about some more guests. Go ahead.
Real quick, I want to add.
You got stuff, fire.
Like, another thing too was like, just pay attention to the context of the environment. So for me, one of my primary goals is getting Tony Robbins on the show. Okay. Tony changed my life. There was like a moment between the breakup and when I started the podcast where like, which is a crazy story. We can talk about that later. But it was Tony who was the catalyst. So for me, Tony was important. So I went to a film festival where Tony was there speaking. To speak to your point, everybody bombarded him. So I was like, shit, he's not going to remember me. I can't. But then I see his wife in the corner by herself, just chilling. I think they had like a dog with them. So everybody's going to Tony. I go to his wife. I said, hey, Sage, I'm a big fan of your relationship program. She's like, oh, really? Where are you from? We're building rapport, talking. And then I was like, by the way, you know, I'd love to have Tony on the show. We have a podcast. You know, what's the best way to set it up? Super easy. Next time you guys are in California, we'll come to you. You guys don't have to go anywhere. Super easy. We'll be in and out. You know, what's the best way to set it up? And she's like, oh yeah, come with me, sweetie. He introduced me to Tony's assistant. She like holds my shoulders and she's like, make sure to set it up with him. You know, so she gave me the card and I got the in with Tony like that. So it's like, you just gotta look for the key players. You know? Yeah,
and you had class when you did it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you have him on?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but that will happen. Mark my words.
Yeah, for sure it'll happen.
So is this what we need to do for Elon?
For Elon.
How do we get at Elon?
Yeah.
How do we get?
I think right now is not the right time.
Yeah, roundtable.
I think right now is not the right time for Elon.
How do we get Elon Musk in our skate park?
I think roll the dice.
You know what I'm saying? How do we get him
Elon Musk in here?
I get him to ride a board, drop in or something like that. Yeah. Just first of all, roll the dice. Like send the email to the assistant that you think nobody will respond to.
You ever make up names like?
I have fake assistants.
No. Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. But like, do you ever go through the like Jerry at Tesla.com, Steve at Tesla?
Oh no.
Haven't done that one.
I've heard that. That one happened with Barton.
Yeah,
for Street League. Yeah, he was like didn't know Rob Dyrdek's email, wanted to get a meeting with Rob Dyrdek, so he just Rob at StreetLeague.com, Rob at DyrdekMachine.com, and he finally got
through and got a response.
Yeah. I don't know if Rob will like that on the show though.
Oh, it's already been on the show, and we talk about. It's funny.
Oh, okay, cool.
We talk about Barton all the like in every interview. Barton's like, and Barton did that. Barton hit me up and was like, "I want to get on the podcast. Here's an outline," and sent me an outline. And then we got him on and posted him, and it was a great interview.
Nice, yeah. That's cool.
Are you gonna say something? I'm gonna ask about tactics.
Go ahead. I want to know about it too. So I'm really trying to make this happen.
Let's talk about tactics in the context of different guests. So name some specifics and just tell us about networking, because you've networked with a lot of people.
Right. So I would say DMs. Let's hit the DMs first. So I'll give away my biggest secrets, even though I usually don't, or it's for my personal clients that I coach on this or in my course. But basically, what you want to do is like I'll give you the skeleton for a perfect DM.
Okay.
So this has worked for me. People criticize it. Always start your DM with emojis. Always. Because when you scroll through your Instagram, it looks like a bunch. I'm sure you get a bunch. Like, hey, Mikey, I'm a big fan, which is cool. You appreciate it. but you can't like get back to everybody or respond all the time. But when there's an emoji, it makes you stop for a second. So I'll put emojis and then I'll put their first name. So I'll be like, emojis, Eric, quick question. So now in your mind, subconsciously, like what I always tell people is you can't guarantee that they'll respond. The only game we're playing with networking is increasing the odds. That's the only game we're playing. So the question is not how do I get in touch, how to do this. It's just how on this touch can I increase the odds of getting to the next step. That's all I'm asking myself. So DM, emoji, Eric, quick question. So now when you're scrolling through Instagram, your DMs, you'll see emojis so they catch your eye. You'll see your name, which is the most exciting, interesting thing to anybody's subconscious. And then you'll see quick question. So you'll see quick. So emoji, Eric, quick. Chances are you're going to look at that DM. And then right after that, compliment. Always compliment first. Context, question. So compliment, context, question. Big fan of da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I have a podcast, da-da-da. Would love to know how to set it up. Da-da. And then end with a question. Always end with a specific question. This is the most important part. So I won't say, well, I'll just tell you guys whatever. So I won't say like, can I interview you? How do we do an interview? Would you be open to do? I don't ask that. I say, would love to set up a 1-hour interview with you next week. Who's the best person to talk to get on your schedule? So would it be an assistant ? So now they'll say, yes, email Stephanie at da-da-da-da-da. And then when I hit up Stephanie, hey, Stephanie, I talked to Grant. Grant said you'd be the best person to set it up on the schedule next week. And Stephanie in her mind goes, oh, how else would he have known my thing unless Grant told him to hit me up? Yep. So I'm just playing the touch game like that.
Yeah.
So that's my best networking secrets, whether you want to get them on a podcast, you want to get them to plug your gear, you want to do business with them. Emoji, name, compliment, context, question.
Yeah. It's crazy, man, because I manage AVNIs and it's nowhere near the stuff that Mikey's managing. And I don't want to be negative at all towards anybody that, opens up and shares personal stuff.
Right.
But it's so hard when like you're trying to like read through stuff and there's like so much to read that you can't do it.
Totally true.
It's like hard to do, It's got
to be easy on the eyes. Yeah, that's why I always break it up and I try to do it in one sentence.
You know what's funny? I'll get those. I'll get the quick ones, which I'm definitely, it's easier to respond to. I'll get the long ones and like, it definitely is a struggle to get through it. But like sometimes like I'm glad I did, right? Like, cause I think there is a value, but I will say to your point, there's way more chance of me going through a quick one than a long one.
Yeah, exactly.
And let me just say before I sound negative, let me throw this out there.
Yeah.
A lot of times we get with the AVNI, just because of what we're doing, we'll get ones like, hey, help me out. Like, and those ones I totally appreciate and I understand. We actually just got one literally right now. Like literally it just came in. So I totally appreciate that and respect it. And I do my best to like communicate and respond with everyone.
Right.
And I've opened up some like good friendships from that. So sorry, keep going.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say that, and also too, adding value is always great. So like one thing we do is my team, kind of like you guys give the guests clips, so that builds a rapport. They start tagging you, and now you're in a relationship with them. Now I know this guy, like I introduced you guys to Randall. You guys ended up in Hawaii like a week later.
Yeah, that was a big way, dude. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Wait, you guys went to Hawaii?
We went to Miami. Randall and I became like full friends.
Oh, Miami,
no, I know.
Yeah, we went and saw Grant.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
like
dude.
full circle,
Omar hits me up. Right, this is a funny story. Omar hits me up and he goes, "Yo, Randall Pitch wants to be on your show." Right, and I was like, "Damn, for real?" All right, and he connects me with them. All of a sudden, Randall's on the show. We become friends, right? And then I get a text from Grant to go do Grant's show. And I'm with Randall, like, yo, I'm going to go do Grant's show. He's like, yo, I'm going to come. I'm like, all right, cool. So we like go on this buddy system in Miami.
Cool,
that was all because of you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And then I know you guys had like Bedros. And so it just, you build a web and you do favors for people, they just return the favor and it just becomes like a synergy thing.
Where do you think the line is between networking and kind of lightweight pushing into a relationship and being so overbearing that you do not have a shot at it?
Great question. Give value. I know it sounds generic, but if you come from a place of like, we'd love to do this for you, or we'd love to give you this, or even if you're like, if I was somebody out there who, obviously all of us have platforms where we can give value, relatively easily. For people out there that feel like they can't or don't, even if you grab a photo of them from Google and put a quote of them and say, here's a post I made for your Instagram, here, like save it and post it. and then you ask for something, they're gonna respond to that.
What a great idea.
Yeah, just something simple like that. Have a buddy just say, hey dude, I'll give you $20 if you get a photo of Grant Cardone, put a quote of his on it, DM it to him, and just try to get him to see it. He's gonna respond. He's gonna be like, oh thanks dude, and he'll tag you in it. And now when he tags you in it, you can go to other people and say, hey, I'd love to make it for your page. I make them for Grant. They're $50 a pop.
Yep.
So there's ways to leverage that. Just give value. If you don't give value and you're asking, that's when it's going to be overbearing.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And I mean, I definitely did model that after you, like with the posts we do for AVNI, because when we create the weekly posts, we think through like what's their audience going to want to see, and then create value based on what their audience wants to see, not just posting for us to give views.
Right.
And it's funny because you'll see, like, I think Gary Vee posted like a month ago, he was like, hey, I need content, like, and you saw him and D-Rock like going back and forth, like,
right.
Hey, maybe if you made some rad content right then, he would post it,
Yeah.
Maybe not, but maybe you would. Anyways, that's a good point.
Yeah, even with people on my team, like anytime people constantly want to work with us because they want to be in the mix. And so what I always tell them is, I'll be like, make me something, show me what you can do.
Yeah.
And when they take initiative like that, that's when they're gonna more likely to be part of the team or come to a shoot or be on, get compensated for it. So yeah, just give value, man. And if you don't have the technical know-how, find something, some way, somehow. There's always something you can do.
Yep.
So, and in this day and age, everybody's accessible, dude.
It's crazy how accessible everybody is.
I know.
Is Passion Pays? I just noticed on your shirt. Is that your thing?
Yeah, so it's actually
that's your product.
We just got it today. If you guys want to cop it, it's Passion Pays, and it's basically so I started a nonprofit called Bigger Hands International.
Okay.
And we're basically feeding homeless people. The homeless cause is something that's always been like super important to me. Helping people who are in rough situations. I grew up volunteering for homeless organizations, so as it's like Passionate Few merch. And for every shirt purchased, we match and give away a shirt plus a meal to somebody in need. So,
nice. Okay.
So yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So if you guys want to cop one, Passion Pays.
What
URL? Do they get it at?
Probably the link below, or follow me on Instagram or YouTube. Any of our descriptions will have a link
on
in
the
there.
Passionate Few or Omar the Rockstar on Insta.
Yes, sir.
We ain't closing out yet. So tell us about some more guests. How'd you connect with Ed Mylett?
Ed was an interesting story because Ed Mylett wasn't the Ed Mylett he is now then. Like, even though this was almost like a year ago almost, the dude blew up. Like at the time he had like a couple, maybe like 200,000 or 300,000. And now he's almost like at 1 million or like 900,000. But yeah, I shot him a DM relentlessly. And I just unsend. So if I send a DM and it doesn't get read or whatever, I'll just, you know how you can unsend it on Instagram?
No, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, if you hold on it, it'll unsend it, and then I just resend it until they see it. So I just rinse and repeat all day long.
Okay.
Hey, did they change the amount of DMs you can send recently? Have you been mass DMing?
No, not anymore. I don't have to do that anymore. But
I think they just changed it. I do it for one of my clients.
Yeah.
Omar's got numbers.
No, I know, but for one of my clients, I do it, and I think they changed it. Anyways, keep going. It could just be that account, but keep going.
Yeah. So I think what would bring a lot of people value is if like you rifle off through some names, and I'll tell like the quickest story I can to explain it. But with Ed, it was just a copy paste, and he knows Grant. So I just leveraged Grant, and then he was just like, yeah, email my assistant, and we'll be in touch, and made it happen like that.
Okay, who's your
Tom Billiard
craziest story getting them on the show?
The creator of Hot Cheetos.
How'd that go?
That was gnarly. I tried relentlessly to get that guy. This guy's huge. I mean, Hot Cheetos, like a multi-billion-dollar.
Did he get affected by Little Xan, I wonder?
By Little what?
Do you know the story there?
No, what happened?
Little Xan went to the hospital because he ate too much Hot Cheetos.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Anyways, side note, keep going. By the way, you have not said one 4-letter word yet. Keep going.
He said one. Oh, no, that wasn't.
They were all 7-letter words.
Yeah,
I was
that's
counting.
True. Did that guy have I don't even know who the guy is. I know Hot Cheetos. I don't know the guy.
Yeah, they're actually producing a movie on his life called
Oh, what?
Hot. Yeah. Fox,
what's his name?
Fox just picked it up. Richard Montañez.
Did he have an Instagram?
Yeah, he has an Insta. He posts our clips all the time. Yeah.
Sick. Yes.
Yeah. So actually might be picking him up as a client, so that worked out great.
All right.
But I messaged him, I emailed him, messaged him. I was relentless. Not even for views, man, just for like every time I walk into
to piss off your chick. She loved Hot Cheetos, right?
Well, that too, but like it's a cool feeling when you go, like even when I interviewed Paul, like it's a cool feeling when I walk into a gas station, I see somebody wearing some like P-Rod Nike SBs. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I interviewed that guy. I see some Quest bars. I'm like, oh, okay, I know that guy. I see some Hot Cheetos. I'm like, oh, I interviewed that guy.
There you go.
You feel like connected to the world, or like you're in the mix, or even you guys with Villager.
That's why I want to interview Elon. So every day I'm driving, I got this guy.
Yeah, the Tesla. Yeah, same thing.
Every time I see somebody smoking weed, I got this guy.
Yeah. No, it's true, man. It's a good feeling to be connected and be in the know of stuff. You know, it's cool. But yeah, he was tricky. I messaged him, emailed him probably like 25, 30 times, and then I saw that he had a speaking event. I drove to like 3 speaking events, pitched him cold by stage. He kept telling me no. And then I went for like a 4th time, and he was like, "You really don't give up, huh?" And I was like, "No, sir." And he was like, "All right." He's like, "I'll do your interview." But what I told him, I was like, "Consider me the young man you once were when you were pitching Hot Cheetos and everybody said no. This is me pitching you."
All right.
And then that's when he was like, "All right, fine." So he gave me the interview. And then interviewed Tom Bilyeu, founder of Quest Bars.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know Tom.
How was that?
Brilliant. The dude is just next level, like insane. But I messaged him like 12 times, same thing. Didn't read it, didn't respond. And then literally it was like I tried so hard, and I was like, no way. There's like no way. And literally like the 13th time, lucky number 13, I just messaged him again. And he's like, "Sure, sounds good. Here's my number. Here's my address in Beverly Hills. How does Tuesday next week work at 1?"
What?
It was that easy. It was literally like he just gave me here's my assistant's number. Next week we filmed it, and the interview blew up. Yeah, so it was...
Damn.
I do want to throw this out there, though. I do want to throw out there that some people, 2 things. One, if people finally do go, okay, who's this Omar the Rockstar guy?
Right.
Let me look. They go to your page and they're like, whoa, okay. Mm-hmm. They go to YouTube. Damn. Like, have something that when you're hitting people up that they can look at, right?
A body of work, for sure. Yeah.
And then the other thing is... With
Tom, actually, I had no body of work. So keep in mind, like now it's like easy, right?
Oh,
to
was
be
that
in the
long
mix.
Ago?
Tom was my first big interview. I interviewed the founders of After's Ice Cream, which is like a cool little local thing. But my 3rd interview ever was Tom Bilyeu, Quest Bars, and yeah, man, that one was actually literally. I mean, I guess we could do that story. After it was the breakup, and she like loved Quest Bars, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get this Quest Bar guy, and I was like depressed. So I literally, I don't smoke or drink anymore, but at the time, I'll just be honest, I rolled up a joint, and like smoked it. I'm like, after this joint, I'm gonna change my life, and literally smoked it, and I wrote down this list. All these people I want to interview. Tom was at the top of the list, and so literally that night, I like just started DMing him. Like at the end of the joint, I was like, put it out, and I'm like, all right, my life changes like from this moment on, and I like just began this quest, and it just literally just kept on working and working and working.
No
I was
pun
like,
intended.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was Tony Robbins, man. He was like, I was listening to this audio. It was, for those that don't know, Tony Robbins, he's like a personal development speaker, entrepreneur. And he was saying that nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning that I give it. And at the time, again, I was really depressed, bummed out. And I was like, all right, how can I give this? What's good about this? What's the blessing here? What's the opportunity here? And just literally turned the pain into power, and it worked. So
yeah,
that's amazing.
Also interviewed Conor McGregor's bodyguard.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I was trying to get Conor. So I'm like, all right, how am I going to get Conor? Like, it's going to happen.
How are you going to get Conor, man? That's a big one.
Yeah. Oh, it'll happen. That's the thing, dude. I just decide for, like, even sometimes I look at my Instagram, I'm like, when the hell did I have time to do this? Like, I don't even know. Like, I didn't have experience with, like, production. I don't know any of this. I was just so, like, determined. Somehow happened, you know. I just kept taking imperfect action. It worked. But, yeah, for Conor, I just wanted to get him on the show, and he tagged his bodyguard on Instagram one time. I saw his bodyguard had like 7,000 followers. Messaged his bodyguard a couple of times, and he was down. And so I got in with his bodyguard. And literally the day of the Mayweather fight with Conor, I'm texting his bodyguard, and I sent him like a funny photo, and he showed Conor, and he's like, yeah, Conor was laughing, haha. Like while the Mayweather-Conor thing was in the locker room. That was
rad.
Yeah, there's been some wild ones, man. Even some I forgot, but yeah.
Okay, so if this is happening, you may not want to talk about, but have you ever been catfished?
What does that mean? Like
has anybody ever like tried to get on your show and like faked you out?
What do you mean? Like they weren't who they said they were, kind of thing? Nah,
Omar does too much research for that, man.
We're actually, you know, it's funny. People love the interviews and they do really well online, man. But honestly, my team even tells me, like, every interview, they're like, great question, good question. I honestly don't prepare all that much, dude.
You don't?
I don't. I keep it really, really relaxed. I listen to a lot of Howard Stern growing up.
Okay.
So like and like Larry King. So like this was my idea of
Were
fun.
they always off the cuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bradley Cooper. When Howard Stern interviewed Bradley Cooper, his first question, he's like, "Man, what's it like to bang the best chicks in Hollywood, Brad? You got to tell me." That was his first question.
Yeah.
You know, so he just went right to the source. So I don't go like that route, but I don't know. I just listened to so many good interviews that it just became a part of me, and that plus my curiosity. I just know I'm going to start at their childhood. We're going to go to like what was high school, you know, their 20s, their 30s. They built a company, the failures, advice to others. And then I have a little game with them at the end. And so now it's just a rinse and repeat. And people love it. So
it's funny, man, because I found as we've gone along, at first I was like, I have to pre-interview every single person. With a lot of people, it's not possible.
Have you been catfished before? Is that what you asked?
Kind of.
Oh, really? Has it been released? We won't get into it.
No, it hasn't been released. But
wow.
I mean, let's just put it this way: there's a lot of people out there that like.
This happened more than once?
I mean, no. But like, let's put it this way, right?
It kind of happened again.
Damn.
But it's a little bit. I mean, kinda.
What happened?
Are we gonna talk? We're not gonna talk about it.
Hell no.
Okay.
But I'll say this though: there's everybody right now is basically figured out. Like, you go get on a show and then you get followers, and so it's this like thing of like there's people that like come across AVNI, right, and then they look at Mikey or they see Mikey and they're like, he's doing podcasts, he's got over 500. Like, let's go, and so they hit up Mikey. Like that's. A lot of people are doing that right now. A lot of people are doing that.
I get that all day long. I get pitches all day long.
But it's so dumb because it really doesn't get you anywhere. If you like don't have anything to back it up, it doesn't really get you anywhere.
Yeah, I just interview people I want to interview, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and then the interview is going to be good if you really give a shit. You know, if you really care, you're going to do it. If it's somebody, whatever, you're just going to fake questions. The audience is going to feel that at some level and you just wasted a night, you know? Yeah. At least that's how we look at it, but.
Okay, so you mentioned a word I want to touch on.
Yeah.
You said imperfect action. Tell us about that word.
This is the holy grail.
Okay.
Even when I was with Ed and Grant Cardone, I'm sure, Mikey, you could relate too. It's like when it comes to skating, you too, Eric, like when you're trying to learn a skate trick, you have no clue how to do it. You have no clue. You just wing it. You have a general idea. Okay, I put my foot here, I flick it there, I pop here. You just imperfect action, and then it just little by little gets a little more perfect and a little more perfect and a little more perfect. Pretty soon, you're doing it bolts.
Yep.
And then once you get used to that, you get familiar with how to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But it's true in business. It's true in sales funnels. It's true in skating and life. It's like if you wait for things to be perfect, it's never going to happen.
Right.
You know, people spend more time on their logo than on actually like launching anything.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
So, you know, that's huge, man. We were just talking about it on the way here. It's like in every business, and at the highest levels, it's even more so. Like if you ask, like I've been in rooms with huge people, huge CEOs. I'll ask them off record, like, do you ever like look around and go like, what the hell am I doing? Like, how am I running this like $100 million company? And they're like, dude, all the time.
Yeah.
We have we're just kind of like winging it. Like you know what you're doing, but you know, you wing it long enough, you start to get good. I'm sure people look at you like a real estate expert and you're like, okay, like, yeah, I know my stuff.
I mean, everything. It's everything. Because I'm the same way, man. I believe you just jump in and swim.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I don't ever, I'm just not the person to sit there and like think what's going to happen or is this right or how people, so I just always do it and then am forced to figure it out. But that process, it never goes away. Right? It doesn't matter what you're doing. Even like when I'd been pro 10 years, it's like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
You know?
It's true. And even like to speak to that, like even in business with huge clients, when I would try to get huge clients or even for interviews, I would do this, I would play this game with my team where like, as soon as I get a thought, I take action. So I'm like, oh, that would be cool to interview Jim Carrey. Imperfect action. Google Jim Carrey. Who's his manager? William Morris Agency. Okay, where's the number? That's the Beverly Hills office. Okay, call the Beverly Hills office. While it's ringing, I'm thinking about what I'm saying. I have no clue what I'm going to say. Ring, ring. Hi, I was wondering, who's the best person to talk to about Mr. Carrey's manager? We'd love to have him on the show. Wondering what's the best email to send a press inquiry. They'll be like, oh, talk to da-da-da-da-da. Here's the email. Boom. Within a minute, by the time the thought came to me, I've already got the email.
Yeah.
Most people don't do that. Most people are like, oh, that would be cool that would be cool to get Elon on the show. Yeah, that would be sick. Anyways, you want to go get something to eat? You know, and I swear, it happens in life and business is you just, if you don't do it quick, I swear to you, 80% of anything I've done that's amazing in business or the show or even digital marketing stuff, all came from that. Just just do it before you realize what the hell's going on, and more often than not, things will work.
Yeah.
That's so true.
So I have a question that I never ask guests, but I'm going to ask you.
Let's do it.
What would you like to talk about right now? What is something that being interviewed that you would like to share?
What I've learned from interviewing like these epic, huge people.
Okay. I had that on the list, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Why are you laughing?
Mikey, you believe that?
I can't. No.
I literally.
I'm like, I just, maybe that'd be me personally. If I was ever like, oh shit, man, I don't know what to say. Hey, what would you
say? If life were perfect, man.
Oh, actually, I had that on my list.
I literally did that.
Funny you say that.
I had that. I was gonna ask, of all the people that you've interviewed, like, tell us some learnings from all these people.
See what he did there? He's gonna cut out the question and go straight to. So out of all the
I'm not, dude. I'm not taking the L on this one. I actually don't have it written down though. I didn't. I don't have it written down, but I genuinely did have that on the list to ask you.
Okay,
so I would say, like, honestly, and this is why I started the show. Like, my mission with the show was always to humanize greatness one story at a time.
Okay.
So, like, for me, like, because I went into it, I don't know, maybe you guys could relate. Like, maybe Mikey or you, Eric, when you were a kid, like, you see a pro skater and you're like, oh, I could never be that mythical like, creature. Like, oh my God, a pro, right? I'm sure you had it, and I'm sure I know. I've heard stories of you.
He was pro when I was a kid,
right?
So I watched it through him.
I actually have footage of me at an event doing a demo, and Mikey was in the crowd.
Yeah, he won.
Crazy.
Yeah, I was like seriously 14 years old, and he won the contest.
And you would have tripped out if somebody would have told you then that one day you'd have a show and be home.
Yeah, I would have tripped out if he would have said hi to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I know with Tom Penny, who's a pro skater, for those that don't know, like, you have a story with Paul where you guys were like freaking out in Germany the first time you met him, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, like, once you get to know these people, you realize that they're not these like big mythical creatures. They're made of the same skin and flesh as me and you. They just took a series of steps that are a little bit different than most people. They started out like babies, just like me and you, with the diaper, goo goo gaga, and they just did some things differently for a sustained enough period of time, and so they end up in a different place. So that was really like, I know that doesn't sound that crazy, but when you're a kid or growing up, you always imagine that these people are like, they must have something that you don't have, and you realize that they don't.
Yeah.
They really don't. It's like, if they could do it, you could do it. And like, the platforms like this show people like the tangible steps of how to bridge the gap. So I think to see that over and over and over, you realize like, shit, it's not that hard. It's just a consistency game.
Yeah, and also I will add this. They do get hit up a lot, but they get hit up by 5% people who just don't do it in a good way.
Yeah,
They get a lot of annoying people, right?
Oh, dude, I get that all day long. I'm sure you guys do too.
If someone presents themselves and they think about it and present themselves in a good way and ask, I mean, dude, you have a whole system on how you do it. Not that many people do that.
Right.
First of all, not many people do it. Second of all, not that many people take the time to think about what they're doing. So let's talk about more.
I think people
I'm just getting laughed at right here.
I think people.
I don't understand why.
Because the person. Let's talk about more. So, Omar, any other questions?
Oh, no. I actually have a question for Omar that I thought about before. You went to Bedros Mastermind.
Right.
Oh, did you really?
Insane. Yeah.
Did you pay for it? Or did
I got invited by Joel Marion. Shout out Joel Marion.
Oh yeah, Joel's the man.
Yeah, Joel's
the
the
man.
Can you say out publicly what those things cost to go to?
That one's $50K.
Yeah.
$50K to be in the room.
Okay, so $50K to be in the room. What did you learn that you can share on a podcast?
Oh, dude, I don't know if I could fit it into time, but
I mean, let's cover 1, 2, 3.
Just
overall message.
No, I can't give you overall.
That'd be worth $50K.
But I could tell you that online money is the best money. I can tell you that. Real estate's probably a good competitor with that. But
it's so different though. It's so different.
It's different, but it's like, it's limitless. Like, there's 300 million people in the U.S. Majority of those are online. And if you have a product, a service, something of value, with like you guys with your course, me with my course, even with my coaching programs, I'm sure you guys have other stuff. It's like, there's so many people out there that can massively benefit from things that you have. And in no day and age before could you ever do that.
Yep.
You'd have to pay so much for ads. With a platform like this or anything else, people can see what you can do.
Yeah,
and you can help so many people from all over the world. So
Dude, that is such a good point. And I think
really
also like that kind of applies to not a lot of people think it's possible. And then like if I had this 7-year window, if I only could have paid for a program that could have taught me how to do what I'm doing now, I could have saved myself 6 years of pain. Like, it's like, it's actually, people have helpful stuff to share. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's some people are just like, oh, it's not going to help, and they never do it.
Right. Yeah.
But then you see like people who make a lot of money, they're all paying like $50,000 to go to a court, like
constantly.
And Randall said the same thing. When we went to Miami, he went to the Bedros thing, I think like 2 days before that.
You guys should come.
He invited us.
I got the invite player. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for it. But Randall's the same way. He was like speechless. Said it was like one of the most incredible things he's ever been to. Went home, couldn't sleep, just like stayed up writing new things he wanted to do.
Yeah, you have dudes in there, I mean, just slaying it. Like numbers that you wouldn't even believe. There was this kid, what's his name? Imran or something like that. And he's 18. He's doing last month he did about 124,000 in recurring revenue.
Yep.
At 18.
Is he the little guy? Is he like
no.
What little guy? Might be. He's a cool dude. Awesome dude.
He's Asian?
No.
Asian? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Little Asian.
No, not like that. He's little though. He is little.
Yeah.
Not to
who you're
he
thinking
is
of
little. The guy I'm thinking of.
Not who he's talking about.
No, he has like a course online. So they were just talking about like how to upsell, how to downsell, like how to offer different levels of value to your customers. And just for example, little stuff, like for example, if you're selling supplements, there's a guy, they like 3x their business in 1 year because when you check out, like say you buy a supplement, you're offered 20% if you buy 2 more. Say you buy 2, they're like, okay, cool. They know that, okay, this person thinks long-term. So they offer 10%. It's like there's a message that says, how would you like 10% on auto ship for 2 every month when they check out? And you just have to click yes, and it adds it to cart. It's a seamless transaction.
Yeah.
It works for the business. It works for the person. They get a discount. And there's just ways to offer more and more value seamlessly that's win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, down to even at the gym, like, I don't know if I could share it because it's like Bedros is a new thing, but it's this really cool platform where it's very simple. When people purchase something at one of their, Fit Body Bootcamp locations, it's on an iPad and it just saves your account on file. So, it just says, hey, do you want to receive 10% off every month? It's a yes or no thing. You click yes. Okay, cool. Sign here. Move on. Every month you're good. Yeah. It's just ways to smoothen transactions.
And you know what? I will say that's a huge opportunity that I see right now because people are getting to the point where, for example, this is kind of a perfect example. Printer ink. People are getting to the point now where it's like, I hate buying printer ink so much that if someone just offered me cheap printer ink and it would just show up when my printer goes off, I would just click the button. But a year ago, I got offered that and I was like, no, I don't want that. But now I'm like, yeah, that would make my life better. So anything right now, we're going into the world of convenience. We're going into Amazon Fresh. I cannot wait because I know they're opening one close until Amazon Fresh does all my grocery shopping, delivers my food to the door pre-made, and it makes my life easier.
Amazon's killing it.
Think about ways to make people's lives easier.
Yeah.
And charge recurring revenue for that.
No, it's amazing. And you help people in the process, Actually, it's funny. I actually emailed Jeff Bezos and he responded.
Really?
Yeah, he responded.
About what?
Interview request.
Oh, what did he say?
Does he do interviews?
Well, for bigger outlets, but definitely not for the passionate few yet. But I messaged him and he responded and just said, unfortunately due to my schedule, I can't, but here's my assistant, coordinate with them, So it was like, it's.
How did you get his email?
Your first guess is probably the right guess of his email address.
I was just going to say Bezos at Amazon.com. You know what I'm saying?
Close. Yeah.
Jeff at Amazon.com.
It's pretty close. I won't say because I don't want people to, go crazy with it. But yeah, 3 guesses, you definitely get it.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. But yeah, man, I just think that, and then even at the masterminds like that, the biggest thing I learned is how much time you can shave off the learning curve by being around people who've done it.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know,
I totally agree with that.
Same thing with you and Commune Capital. It's
same thing.
If people can, get involved instead of bumping into the walls and losing a bunch of money, why not get involved with people who are masters at it, partner with them and learn? It's like
just knowing that it can be done is just That's a lot of times when I was trying to figure out, that's why I stopped, because I was like, I think I can do this. And I was like, I don't think I can. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it's not like a negative thing. I don't think that's going to work. And then I moved on to something else. And then this one, I just said, this is going to work, and then stuck with it. But yeah, you can shave time off the learning curve.
And your limiting 100%. Beliefs get shaved off too.
Totally.
Because you might be like, oh, I can't charge this, or I can't do this. And you see like an 18-year-old kid doing it and like having fun. You're like, oh,
same thing.
Why was I why was I thinking that way, So
absolutely,
when you're around people at a higher frequency in business and life, even in skating, right? Like,
so it used to happen with skating all the time.
Wouldn't you agree?
Someone would do a trick that we thought was impossible, and then once somebody did it once, like all of a sudden everyone could do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same way.
It's just you're in that level of energy, and they say your life is a direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group, and so if you put yourself among peers like that, sooner or later your bank account's going to look like theirs, your mind's going to think like theirs, your skating skills are going to be like theirs, so it's just the nature of the beast.
You're interviewing all these people. How has that like impacted you? How has that changed your life?
Oh dude, it's been amazing, man. The first time, I never had this experience. You guys probably had it as pro skaters, but I'll never forget. I was at a restaurant with a buddy, and somebody like stopped their car. They're like, "Are you the guy who interviewed Grant Cardone?" I was like, yeah. They're like, dude, thank you so much. That interview was so awesome. I was stuck in this position in life and this. So like one of the craziest impacts is just like people starting to like recognize you for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's different because it's not like for acting or like for something. It's for just doing something I love to do. I just love to tell these stories. And I'm sure you guys can relate. For being recognized for something you love to do, that's a surreal feeling, dude. That's like a crazy feeling. And I get stories all the time that I ask the questions that they'd want to know. So that's one thing for me. Like when I do interviews, I don't ask it to like just ask. Like I do it because I really give a shit. I'm asking for somebody who's lost in life, or somebody who's stuck, who's broke, who's 40, who's 30, who's whatever age. And I'm asking the question that if they were in my position, and they could like, wow, man, I wish I could interview him. What would you ask? Mm-hmm. Like, what would you ask Grant about how to get over drugs? What would you ask Ed about like what's step 1, 2, 3? So I just try to like channel myself that I'm the dude on the other end of that podcast who's wishing, what could I ask? Try to ask those questions. And so by doing that and then it works, that's like been really cool, man. Like I get messages and emails from all over the world, people like so hyped on the show. So that's been crazy impact.
All right, so let's ask this. Yeah. With all the interviews that you've done, let's talk to that person who's stuck and wants to break out. What do you say to them?
Number one, who you surround yourself with is who you become. Like I cannot emphasize that enough. Like if you're going to be lost in life or broke in life, at least be around a good group of people that you can laugh with, joke with, that are positive, that are not like dragging you into cycles of bad habits. And that's probably the hardest thing. But just by being in those environments, like your life is going to just feel better, feel lighter. You'll start getting in momentum. So that's the first thing. Like if you have no money, no clue, or even if you have money but you're lost, go get around good people that you can talk to, that you care, that care. Second thing I would say is get a mentor. You could be a coach. It could be somebody who's like, doing well. Like have the courage to ask them and say, hey, dude, I'm in this position in life. I want to be in a better spot. I don't know exactly what I want. Do you have any tips? If you get around people like that, they're going to pull you in a new direction, Mm-hmm. So I would say humble yourself to that. And then the third thing is just try to get clear on what you want. And that's like the hardest for everybody. And we're all figuring it out. Dude, even Tom Billy, he's like, when I interviewed him, he's like, dude, I built $1 billion company. I'm still not positive what my passion is or my purpose is. Like my companies have purpose, right? I could have like this element of my life has a purpose, but my overall purpose, we're all just figuring it out.
Yeah.
So the third thing would just be to like take action and realize that clarity comes from action. Mm-hmm. You carve clarity. It doesn't just
imperfect
like show
action.
up one day. Yeah. And you just bump into the walls, and if you keep going, things will start to work, and pretty soon you'll fall into momentum. Momentum is what you're looking for. Momentum is really what you're looking for.
Definitely.
Because you could not be positive about what you're doing, but if you're in flow and you're enjoying it, maybe even making money doing what you love, people appreciate your work, you're bringing value to your clients, whatever it is, like you're not going to get depressed very often, in a state of momentum. People who are stuck in life, what they're really saying is, I don't have any momentum. Mm-hmm.
At least in the direction I want to be going.
That's right. Yeah. I don't have any positive momentum yet. Yeah. So that's important.
All right, dude. Well, let's, anything else we didn't cover? Because we're going to wrap it up in a second here. I think that we got a good glimpse and I'm going to say definitely check out The Passionate Few.
Appreciate
it's
that,
a brother podcast to us. Omar kills it, does a great job, and has... Oh, yeah, one more thing. How do you choose your guests other than revenge? And I mean, because you have really interesting guests sometimes.
Yeah,
I know they're not all... obviously, you're over that, but...
Yeah. So that was the first like couple months.
Yeah.
The breakup and all the stuff I told you about. But no, after that, man, it just became about impact.
Got you.
But yeah, no, at this stage, people I find interesting, people whose books I like, if they have a large following, that helps the situation a little bit. And a lot of times it's weird, man. I'm into meditation and stuff like that. So I like meditate on it. Like I just kind of flow, and then the right things come. But I would say just interview somebody you really want to interview. Chances are they know the next person you want to interview. That's how it worked for me. Like I interviewed Tom. Tom knew somebody. I interviewed them, and then that got me to think, I could do Grant. I did Grant. Grant got me Mylett. Like, so it just becomes a web.
Yeah. We've noticed that too.
I would say don't force it. That's one thing. Like sometimes I caught myself in that. Like, I need to produce X amount of episodes, so we have to no matter what. That works for some people. For me, it doesn't. For me, I have to really care about it and like care about their story. For me, it's all about the story. I'm doing it for the dude who's lost, who's broke, who's stuck, who's where I once was at my rock bottom. So I'm doing it from that narrative. So I try to find other people who have a rock bottom, and I ask myself, like, could this interview change somebody's life? And if it can, I do it. And if not, then, maybe next time.
Yeah. All right, man. Mikey, you think we got everything we need?
Any questions, Mikey?
Okay. I think we got a lot.
I think we got everything we need. All right, dude, let's plug all your stuff. I think we already have, but The Passionate Few on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Omar the Rockstar on Instagram. Anything else we need to plug?
No, The Passionate Few podcast. Check it out. If you guys want to grab the gear, you guys can check it out, and all the stuff we're doing for helping people out there, inspiring people. Make sure to follow these guys at the AVNI Intelligence.
Follow us.
Love what you guys are doing, how you guys are helping people with your products and all that. And just if you have any pain or anything like that in your life, you can turn it around. I know that's kind of like a negative tone, but I'm doing stuff now that I never would have even dreamed of, opportunities I never would have dreamed of, in rooms with people I never would have dreamed of. I texted Mikey, I don't know if you remember this, but I texted you like a magazine. When I was a kid, I would like read your interviews in Transworld.
Yeah.
And to think that I'm like sitting at a table and like you guys are asking me questions on your podcast, like, dude, that's like surreal to me. But I want to encourage you guys, if you're stuck or you're lost or you're looking for direction, like just really apply yourself to something. And if you do it over a sustained period of time, amazing things will happen. So I know that's not a plug on gear, but hopefully it plugs your guys' mindset.
Do you have any courses open for enrollment right now?
At the time of this dropping, we'll have some courses. Maybe you guys could check it out in the description below or follow me on my platforms. And then I have
Can you share what it's about?
So I actually have two. One of them is going to be based on podcasting, helping people build their own like superstar podcasting brand to sell their own products, their services, and obviously network with some of the best in the world. And it's cool because whereas a lot of other people have already established these amazing platforms, it's been so cool for me to help the clients that I coach one-on-one or regular, like, start their own podcast, plug their business, and it start to make them money, start to make them connections. Like that's a really cool feeling. So I hope you guys do that. And then the networking course, you guys got to stay posted for that one.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, Omar. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Check out Omar's stuff, Omar the Rockstar. Thanks, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.